and all of the cards are facing one way, except for one card. For this trick, we'll go ahead and pick out a random card. Let's just go right here. Give you guys a quick look, then we'll go ahead and put that card right about middle of the deck, right about there. As a magician, I always get asked why I'm always the one shuffling the cards and why I don't let other people shuffle. And that's because when I let other people shuffle, they try to mess with me. Instead of doing normal cuts and shuffles or even just something fancy like this, they will try their best to mess with me and trip me up. Sometimes they'll bend the cards, sometimes they'll drop them. One time I had this guy really try and screw me up, and he took the deck and he shuffled it face up and face down just like this, and it really screwed me up. And oh god, I might be a little nervous. I just did it myself. Oh shoot, we have face up cards, face down cards. We even have some like back-to-back cards in here. Give me just a second to fix this. I literally mean a second. And every card is facing one way. All except our ace of hearts. Now, the secret to this trick is something called a zero shuffle. Most of you probably know what a pharaoh shuffle is, where you take about half the deck and you interlace the cards together like this. And you can do some cool stuff with that too, but a zero shuffle is a little bit different. Before we get into the zero shuffle, there is a little bit of setup, and not setup in terms of prepping the deck or anything. Setup in terms of getting the card where we need it to be. Because the spectator does have a free choice. They get to choose any card that they want to from the deck. In this case, let's say 10 of spades. But we need to get this card back to the top of the deck for this trick to work. And you can do that any way that you see fit. For beginners, I recommend getting this to the top using just a double undercut. But if you have another method that works, that's great. To do a double undercut, you're just going to take the spectator's card, push it right middle of the deck. Then when you go to push it in, you're going to push down with your thumb to create this break right here. Then with your left hand, you're going to take about half the packet, lift it up top. Then you're going to come back, take the rest of that packet with the spectator's card right up top, and lift it all the way up to the top. It's 2 undercuts in a row, hence the name double undercut. One more time, we're going to take the spectator's card, put it about middle of the deck, push in and down to catch a break. Take half the cards, put them up top, reach back underneath to take the rest of the cards below that break, put them up top, square everything up, and the cards right up top for you. You can do whatever method you prefer to get the card to the top of the deck, and then you're going to want to do some false cuts, some retaining shuffles to keep it up top. But once you're here, you are ready to go. The first step to learning a zero shuffle is knowing how to do a traditional riffle shuffle or a dealer shuffle, depending on where you learned it, with the corners of the cards. Being able to do this mid-air is preferred. That way you can do this not on a table or surface. I like doing this mid-air. To do that mid-air kind of dealer shuffle, you're going to start with your hands like this, with your thumbs on one edge and then your middle and ring fingers on the other. Then you're going to lift up about half the cards with your right thumb, push down with your left thumb, and separate them. From here, you're going to curl your middle ring and pinky fingers around the edge, pointer fingers on the front, and then you're going to put your left and right thumbs on these inside corners. You're going to put pressure down with your pointer fingers, and then you'll riffle with your thumbs. Remember, keep pressure with your other fingers. This helps create balance. Then you'll take your pinky fingers, put them back on the edge, then just push everything together to square it all up. But what you're going to do is you're going to retain some cards with your right thumb to keep the top stack the same. You really only need to keep one, but when you're first learning, it's easier to retain a couple of cards at a time. Then, once you get that down, you're going to start working on the pattern and setting this trick up. This trick works great whenever somebody asks if they can shuffle the cards, but you don't really want them to. If you have a trick before this that you do where you need to actually have a stacked deck, like if you do anything where you memorize part of the deck or you have a certain key card somewhere, then you can finish the trick, say like, no, you can't shuffle, then go into this as an explanation of why you don't let other people shuffle. And you start explaining yourself while you're shuffling. So you talk about how you don't let other people shuffle because they mess with you. All the same time, you're shuffling the cards, air quotes shuffling, you're retaining their card right on top of the packet. Then, once you get to the part where you're talking about people really messing you up and doing face-up cards into face-down cards, then you're going to go into the actual zero shuffle. A zero shuffle is basically just a midair riffle/dealer shuffle, but with a little bit of extra flourish. What we're going to do is once we reach this point in the shuffle, we're going to retain one or two cards up top. I kept a few too many, but we're going to take our right pointer finger, put it on the back of this card, and push it forward. See how it creates a little bit of cover right here? From here, we're going to separate those corners, lift up with our left hand, and then slide everything in and square it up like we normally would. What this does is it retains the top card exactly as it is, and it keeps the bottom packet all together. This is really helpful for what we're doing because say when you take the cards and put them face up and face down, when you do it undercover like this, all of those face up cards are now in this packet in my left hand underneath only the top card, which is the spectators card. One quick tip when you're doing the zero shuffle, you want to only interlace the corners of the cards. That way when you go to separate, you don't need to pull out the entire cards. If you interlace too much and you're in here like this, you push forward, it's a lot harder to separate. It could look decent, but you want to make it so that way it looks natural. Same thing with pushing off with your pointer finger. You want to make everything look natural. Once you reach the point where you're shuffling the cards face up into face down, and you have only the spectator's card up top, directly on top of the face up packet, what you're going to do is you're going to lift up about half of that face up packet and show that there are face up cards in the middle of the deck. And then you're going to set that packet back down, and notice how there's this kind of break right here. That's because when you shuffle the cards, they're naturally going to bow. So the backs of the cards are going to separate from one another. So you can reach down and you can show that they're back-to-back cards. And instead of setting the deck back the way that you picked it up, you're going to actually flip it in your hand and set it back down so that way all of the face down cards are facing face down again. And the only card that's face up in the deck is the spectator's card. Even though it looks like the entire deck is a jumble, you showing how messed up the cards are really sets it up so that way you're ready to just reveal.